Hello and welcome to my Exceptionalities final exam presentation. My name is Elizabeth Webb Watson. I'm with the Department of Early Childhood at Chattahoochee Technical College. The class is ECCE 2201 Exceptionalities with Professor Susan McCoy. Today is April 28th, 2025. Let's begin. The three competency areas that I've chosen to identify laws and regulations regarding individuals with special needs, including a review of legislation and regulations. 2, define the teacher's role in working with individuals with special needs. And number 3 was listed for number 4, and examine screening and assessment tools and procedures for referral. So number 1, identifying the laws and regulations regarding individuals with special needs, including a review of legislation and regulations. So I chose to talk about Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. That is when this gives the student support and accommodations that they need to live a full and supported life. For Americans with Disability Act, this is the ADA. This went into effect in 1990 and prohibits people from discriminating against those with disabilities. And finally, Assistive Technology Act. This gives individuals with disabilities devices to help them manage their day-to-day life. Defining the teacher's roles in working with individuals with special needs, of course, those are going to be things like support, which can be throughout the day, no matter what the child is doing. To advocate for the child, giving them that voice and being that voice for them. The referral process, if a child is needing services, that teacher can go and make sure they're getting the referral that they need. Immigration is making sure that they have things throughout the day that are going to support them, whether that be in the classroom, on the playground. And of course, inclusion. Again, this is going to be really just making sure that the child has what they need in that classroom to be included just like every other student. So examine screening and assessment tools and procedures for referral. So these are things like academic screenings, behavioral screenings, ages and stages questionnaire. All of these things are looking to see where the child is at and if there's going to be need for a referral. And this is when the IEP will come into a place. Once they have that referral, they will then have these screenings done and further evaluations will happen. And then once you get those test results back, then an IEP will be established for those that need it. So 3 types of disabilities are ADHD, cerebral palsy, and blindness. So let's start with ADHD. So the adaptations for ADHD are going to be breaking materials into smaller chunks. So taking larger projects and breaking them down for children to be able to do them at a smaller or lower pace than other students. Giving flexible seating options. For children with ADHD, they tend to bounce up and down a lot and need to be walking. So there's new types of seating that allow the children to be able to do this. Extra time for work. So say the project is supposed to take 20 minutes. For this child, there might be 30 minutes given as they might have needed to stand up or walk around. And then, of course, if there's a behavioral problem, then there might need to be a behavioral plan put into place for that child in that classroom. Assistive technology devices for ADHD would be noise-canceling headphones and visual timers. Visual timers are great because you can set them on the desk, and as you can tell on the purple clock here, it'll kind of slowly go down, and so the child will know when time is going to be up. And then for noise-canceling headphones, children with ADHD tend to have that overstimulation. And so by being able to have these noise-canceling headphones, it will prevent them from being able to hear that outside noise, and they will be able to focus more. So the learning activity that I chose for ADHD is finger painting. You might be thinking, why finger painting? But really, any children that put their mind to it are really creative. Well, all children are creative. So for ADHD, being able to finger paint actually can give those different stimulants that will help. Now, again, some kids are not going to want to put their fingers in paint just because it's a sensory thing. So at that point, they can use different types of paintbrushes, sponges, things like that. But this is going to give the child an outlet to be able to kind of create what they feel or sense in their head. Moving along to cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy adaptations are going to be things like wheelchair accessibility within the classroom, making sure that that child is able to go around in that classroom without bumping into things. Physical aids in the classroom. This is going to be things like maybe they need to go from the walker into maybe their gait trainer, or, maybe they're going to need different types of writing utensils, things like that. And then, of course, alternative communication. So these are going to be things like those flashcards that they can choose from, or even a machine that speaks for them. So we are going to move on to assistive technology. So again, the wheelchair is a great thing when they need it, and they have come so far. So wheelchairs first were just, you push the wheel, but now they have become very advanced. And so children are able to actually have them auto, or they can still push them themselves, or that they're much more cozier and easier to maneuver around. And then, of course, there's the alternative communication devices. This is what we were talking about in that last slide, is that this is going to be able to give that child a voice, or if they don't, even if they speak, this will be able to help the teacher maybe get a clearer picture of what the child is needing. So the learning activity that I gave for this one is being able to throw a ball. This might not sound like a lot, but children really do love different types of like sensory and textured things. So for this, what I would do is have the child either be in their wheelchair or a gait trainer, have them sitting on the floor even if they can, and be able to teach them to throw the ball back and forth. This is going to be part of that gross motor that all children need. So the next slide I have is for visually impaired. So the adaptations for that are going to be things like audiobooks, Braille, and talking devices. These are really cool. The more you look into them, there are devices that are like clocks and calculators. But of course, Braille is something that children, will learn to read as they go along. And then those audiobooks are things that they can hear. So they might not be able to see it, but they can hear it and still know what is going on in the stories that the other children are reading. So the visually impaired assistive technology devices that I chose were the mobility trainer. So these are going to be those white sticks that the children can know what's going to be in front of them and teach them, how to get around. And then the tactic graphics. So these are really cool because they kind of come off the paper a little bit. So the child is able to use their sense of touch to be able to feel the different shapes and stuff like other kids are able to do. And then, of course, the learning activity that I decided for this one is going to be a nature walk sensory bottle. So for this, what the child is going to do is you guys are going to go on a nature walk together. And as you go, you're going to pick up things like rocks and sticks, even water if you're near a creek, and put them into a bottle. And that way the child is kind of feeling the different things from from nature, putting them in that bottle, and then it turns into a sensory bottle, so they're able to shake it and take it home with them as well. So these are my references that I used for this project, and I hope that you enjoyed my presentation, and I very much enjoyed everything that I learned for this class.